Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 279 of the 9 Years podcast. I am Nick Draper. I am joined, as always, by the face of 9 Years TV, Mr. Stuart Deacons, and we have all the usual football chat to talk to you about this week, including a goal at long last, but then the loss of the goal scorer of said goal, and how we're going to look to replace Ollie Palmer and perhaps make some additions elsewhere in the squad as well. We'll also be looking back to 2002, what happened this week in the final season of Wimbledon FC. Apologies for no show last week. Sometimes life just gets in the way. Probably not a bad week to miss those, Stu, because we had 2 0-0 draws. At least we have goals to talk about this week. Draw at Burton was a good result. Defeat to Ipswich, an unsurprising defeat, I'd say, is a fair evaluation of that one. But let's just start on Ollie Palmer. He's gone off to Wrexham, £300,000. Could we afford to turn that money down?
No, short answer. You've got, a 29, 30-year-old getting an offer of 300 grand, and as I said, Springs and Mason, it's all profit. We got him on a free transfer. I think also, realistically, I think if we had turned it down, it's one of those things. People, we've seen on social media people moaning, saying that we've got 300 grand, but we could lose that, we get relegated, and we've got to get a replacement. But equally, if it had come out that we'd turned down 300 grand for a 30-year-old, we go back to the days of losing Lyle Taylor and Joe Pigott and Bayo. We've lost so many people on free transfers, haven't we? And I've said on here, Tom Elliott. I've said on here before, we've got to start picking up fees. But the problem you have is that the bids never come in when you want them. It comes in a week before the season starts. Sorry, a week before the window shuts. So of course we're now in a very much a panic, and people know we've got money. But you can't pick those moments. I think it's the right decision. But time will tell if that is going to be a real Achilles heel for our survival in League One.
Yeah, we are going to talk about the relegation battle that we kind of at the moment find ourselves in, but I'm not sure we are actually in one. I'll expand on that shortly. The loss of Ollie Palmer was compounded on Tuesday morning when we were given the news that Alex Woodyard will be out for a few weeks, a month at least, around about that time. Will Nightingale also needing a bit of a rest, although he was on the bench on Tuesday night. But that was a lot of experience throughout the spine of your team to lose in a 48-hour period, and we're left with a very, very young side that took to the field against Ipswich on Tuesday. But we do have to make this correlation, don't we, between the youth of the squad, the process and the way we've gone about recruiting and putting the squad together this season is all in light of the budgetary constraints that we found ourselves in because of the stadium debt. The two, I've seen a couple of people suggest that the two are unrelated. They're not unrelated whatsoever. If we had money to spend on, we would be spending it on the squad, and we haven't done. And that's why we've got such a young team. The point I'm making as well is that then makes the £300,000 for Palmer. We couldn't say no to it. We couldn't turn it down because we need the money. And I just think somewhere along the line, there seems to be certain times I read guest books and social media, which I shouldn't do, and there seems to be a disconnect between those two things. But I'm not sure how you can separate the two: stadium debt versus playing budget.
No, you're right, and we've heard a comment many times from fans, and rightly so. I just want to watch football. Totally get that. But we said that we've been discussing it many times that when you start seeing the impact on the pitch, then you start going. And if you want to sort of quantify it or balance it out, the fee we got for Ollie Palmer is more or less the interest we're paying on our bridging loan. If you want to look at it that way, so. Yeah, the 300 grand. Oh look, we don't know if it's going to be reinvested, but you can't turn that money down. But the budget is what is it? 1.8, I think it was released, wasn't it? Was it released by Joe Palmer when we were talking about the budgets before? And it probably sits. Mm-hmm. It probably. Hey look, if you look at a budget table, I know we don't like talking about budgets, but if you look at a budget table, it probably sits where we are, roughly at the moment. If you look at that, but it is connected, and you know, I think it's the first time we've probably been hit with one of our top players basically being, I was going to say stalked. I don't think Wrexham's stalking him. But let's be fair, look at it a positive way. He'd be the richest person in Wrexham, wouldn't
Yeah, but that would have been true if he'd have been offered 50p a week. Um,
he? Will he?
I
Do you know
visited
what? Will he live in Wrexham or will he live yeah, in the posher parts? I'm trying to think what the posher parts are.
what in Wales.
Well, Wrexham's on the border, isn't it? In terms
Yeah, I was going to say
of
like
that
Chester.
side. Yeah, I say if you live in Chester, hey, no one can afford to live in Chester. I've been to Chester. It's a lovely place, but
It's because it's in England.
well, technically Chester is on the border, isn't it? I don't know if you
That's
caught
just
that
yeah. This yes.
they were saying that they can't play because actually their ground is half in Wales. So I suppose you can have the fans because when the fans were locked out, I suppose you have fans on one side and just say you're not watching anymore to the other side.
One solution I saw was the fact that they could stream the game on the big screen in the bar in the stadium, but the fans were allowed to flock in there and watch it, but they wouldn't be allowed inside the stadium itself. Absolute lunacy. But hey, there we go. But
It's
I do have to laugh.
hilarious.
Yes, of course, the posh part of Wales is in fact in England. As I keep saying to you, when we played, it really annoyed me when we played Wales and all the England fans start singing, "You're just a small town near England." Thinking that's not funny. Should be you're just a small town in Cheshire. That is funnier. But never mind.
You don't hear
Unfortunately,
that
England
anymore.
fans' wit was lacking.
You don't hear that anymore, do you? It's sort of like
No,
it's, it's one of those. I think it's one of those sort of chants that does the rounds, doesn't it? And then it just fizzles
dies
out.
out.
It was
Hopefully, Ale 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 will go that way because I was fucking sick of it on Tuesday night. With both ends singing this bloody song.
There was a new Robbo
Oh, it
song. There
irritates
was a
me.
new Robbo song. Did you hear that? I couldn't get all the words to it.
No. Is
There was a
it
new.
is it the one where rocking all over the world? Is that
That's
what
it.
it is?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the
Quality.
status quo one.
Can't beat a bit
I,
of status quo.
we need to find the lyrics. Someone please give us the lyrics because Stu and I are getting old. We can't hear unless we're
Sorry.
right in amongst it. Very good. Um, Ollie Palmer's gone. He was the last player to score a goal for us and the only player to have scored a goal for us this calendar year.
Oh, crikey.
He netted against Burton Albion on Saturday. It ended a 5-game goal drought for us. And he took it well. It's a good goal. And I think it was deserved. Arguably, I mean, we talk about a lack of goals and performances, but so you know what? I was looking at this. So we've not won in 8 now games in all competitions. 7 of those in the league, and then we had the Boreham Wood FA Cup defeat. But if you look at those results on paper, what were the truly bad results in there? Because I'm looking at them going, so in that spell we had the 2-2 draw at Wickham. That's when we're going back to
Yeah.
2-2 draw at Wickham, good result. Um, Oxford, okay, we had a bit of an aberration in terms of our levels on that day. It happened. You can't maintain what we try and do 46 games a season. It wasn't going to happen. Boreham Wood FA Cup, banana skin, always likely. Milton Keynes away from home, yeah, it sucks and we hate it, but them beating us is no great shock at their place, current time.
Yeah.
Portsmouth 0-0, good point. Burton away, 1-1, good point. Ipswich, yes, we lost, but we sort of expected to lose, like we said as well, with losing all that experience down the spine of the team. To have gone 8 games without a win, of course, it causes you problems, but really, Boreham Wood aside, you could argue Morecambe, not scoring against Morecambe perhaps, was a disappointment. But really, I think we're looking at it, there's nothing there that I think that really panics me. Am I just being a bit too optimistic?
No, I think. Do you know what? I know it's a result business, but I think if you look at the performances, and Robbo's always said this before, hasn't he? If you look at some games we haven't won or withdrawn, but the performances are at a level where you think we're playing with the right intensity, we're getting chances. I think each game the performances got better. I think Pompey was a very good point. I think it's a very good.
Mm-hmm.
I think, do you know what? I think we forget sometimes how strong this league is, and if you go back a couple of years, Pompey were probably what we class as the big team in terms of who would win the league. But you could argue now that they're not. They're a mid-table team, which is silly. But when you think about the size of clubs that are are in there, the clubs that have come down from the Championship with Rotherham and Wickhams and stuff. So I think we've just got to be realistic. We've got a hell of a tough. I know you were just talking about fixtures, weren't we, before, and you could argue that this week, this week coming up with Shrewsbury and then Cheltenham is our games that we think we should be competitive in, and we should look to be picking up points. But then we go into Sunderland and Rotherham, and it's a tough league. It's a tough league, and I also feel that Robbo's changed a bit. I feel we're a lot more defensive. I don't know how you think of that, but I feel we're set up now not to lose. It feels we are very defensive, which has gone in line with not conceding goals and having a clean sheet. And the goal at Burton we're going to discuss, but it's not. It's just down to us not taking the player out. But I think we're quite solid, and I think Robbo's done that sort of. I think he's probably gone, right, do you know what? We've got to be difficult to beat, pick up points, and we attack when we can. And that's probably where we've gone from being a team that scores lots of goals. We used to see lots of goals at Plough Lane, didn't we, early in the season? And now we're not seeing very many. I think we just changed our tact.
I was looking at the perceptions of how we view things. So you talked about making us more solid, and we've kept a few clean sheets, but we're not scoring at the moment as much. I looked at the last 7 games we played in the league. This is, in 7 games we've scored 3 and conceded, but we've only conceded 9. All right.
Yeah.
The 7 league games before that, we'd only actually conceded 9 as well. So we've actually conceded the same number of goals, but whereas our goal difference for the last 7 is -6, we actually broke even with the 7 games before that, backwards from Accrington backwards. We'd scored 9. So really, the problems, I agree with you, the problems at the moment, clearly, scoring goals.
Yeah.
I still look at the performances that I've seen against a Portsmouth team that are very, very well drilled and solid under Danny Cowley. Very, very low risk, didn't give us anything. I look at the performance against Ipswich. Against Burton, we did create chances and we scored. I think when we play weaker teams, against whom our record is strong this season, if you look at the teams in the bottom 8, I think we've got enough quality to. I don't think I'm not. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm not worried. I think goals will come. And I think McCormick and Rodoni in particular, I think they're in good form and looking really sharp. And I think against weaker opposition, we'll start scoring and winning games again.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, look, do you know what? The mid-season break, which is what it was, because everyone called games off for COVID, didn't they? I think it's just clouded a little bit, isn't it? Because you're right. We went into that with Accrington and Wickham, and you have to look at Wickham look at the Wickham game. They haven't been beaten at home, and they're very strong at home. They're a very strong team. But we were arguably, I thought we were better than them, and we could have easily won that game. We could obviously just held our nerve. But then I think when we come to break and then we get done 3-0 at Oxford, and it was a terrible performance. I think we can all accept that. Then we get beat in the cup game, which, hey, look, do you know what? FA Cup, we know all that. Then we get that game against them and lose that. So I think this perception is like, we're on a downer. And then, of course, we then lose our top goal scorer. It's all combined. If you look at the irony of it, we lost our top goal scorer the day before the Ipswich game, and we then had the last season's top goal scorer for us on the Ipswich bench and can't even get a game. It's amazing, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's just all combined with there, and I think we're okay. I think the levels are good. I think I agree with you. I had my mate, an Ipswich friend with me on Tuesday, and he was singing the praises of like Eversal, Rudy, McCormick. He couldn't believe when I told him how old Eversal was. He was just like, you're having a laugh. Like he called him. What did he call him? Like a mosquito. He's just swarming around. He just said, he just doesn't give anybody.
He's a pest, he is. He's a nuisance.
And I said to him, he's 17, and he looked at me stunned. So I think we have to sometimes remember the standard of the players we've got. And I agree with you. I think we're going to be okay. It's a bit. Do you know what? I think after Wickham, I was like, we should be looking up, and I was looking up. Whereas now you're looking at the bottom because we've got sucked into it. If we are in it, but those teams are not good. We've still got Doncaster to come to Plough Lane, haven't we? We've got Cheltenham's coming in the league, so we still got to play them, and I agree with you. I think when we play them, we won't lose them. Put it that way. And all we've got to do is finish above. I know Robbo won't like us for saying it, but all we've got to do is finish in 20th.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're easily good to finish in position 20. Um, your Ipswich friend probably didn't believe you when you told him that Ayew Bassel is 17 because he's not. But
Is that a
we'll,
birthday now?
we'll, he's 20, isn't he?
No. Hey, was
Yeah, I swear he's
no.
20.
Have I gone 17? I've been stupid. He's 19, isn't he? Do you know
I
what?
think maybe.
Maybe I just lost a couple of years over. It's been a long. Do you know what? It's been a long couple of days.
It's been a long week. This is like
Like
January's always long. This January feels like the longest one ever. And last year we were in lockdown, so that said it all. Down.
you're talking about, we're saying about reviewing the week, and we've been obviously away for a week, but like so much has happened, so many
I know.
games, so many things. So yeah, I've obviously taken a couple of years off. I have. So yeah, but he's still good at age.
He's
Can't
still
remember
very
his
young,
age wrong.
and do you know what? But to be fair, what would he have broken in? Well, when he was around February, March last year,
Yeah,
Shrewsbury was the game, wasn't it, when he came in? So
yeah.
yeah, 19 perhaps when he came in, which I mean, for a player of his quality, something you could argue perhaps he came in too late. But anyway, we're not going to go back down that route now.
Mm.
Um, you mentioned the teams that we've still got to play. Doncaster have still got to come to Plough Lane. Cheltenham do very shortly. Shrewsbury do. We still have to go to Gillingham. We still have to go to Crewe. We've not lost to anyone in the bottom seven.
Yeah.
The only team actually in the bottom nine that we've lost to is Shrewsbury, funnily enough, but we'll come on to that one later. Doncaster we beat, Crewe we beat, Morecambe we beat, Cheltenham we beat in the cup. It's the top end of the table where you'd expect us to have struggled, and we have done.
Yeah.
Wigan beat us, Sunderland beat us, Rotherham beat us. Got a good point at Wickham. Milton Keynes beat us, Oxford beat us, Plymouth beat us, Ipswich beat us, all without scoring. Ipswich to nil, Plymouth to nil, Oxford to nil, Wickham, Milton Keynes to nil, Rotherham to nil, Sunderland to nil, Wigan to nil.
But you
Yeah,
know what? When you name those teams, they've all been in the championship probably what in the last 5 years.
apart
Apart from
from
Plymouth,
apart from
maybe.
Scum.
But yeah, I'm trying, but yeah, but they've been a championship. They've been a championship club, haven't
They have been
they?
previously. Yeah.
But that's what I mean. When you just roll those names off, it's a blimmin' tough league.
Mm,
it's
yeah.
you know, I think we just have to sometimes be a bit realistic that this squad, this team will be better for the experience. A year older, a might get a year younger. I don't know, maybe. Um,
Goes in reverse.
but it is when it is when you just roll those teams off. It's just hey, look. Do you know what? League One is exciting. Great teams coming to us all the time, but it's picking up points is an effort.
It is. It is. Right. One tactical point I'd like to pick up on, following on from you've mentioned the goal away at Burton. Frustrating with Burton because solidly mid-table team, but we've drawn 1-1 with them both times this season, and both goals that we've given away were gifts, really. Most notably at the home game with the back
Oh
pass from
yeah,
Hartigan. And then, as you said, just make a foul. We did it on Tuesday night when there was a breakaway. McCormick knew just to stick a leg out and bring him down and take a booking. I
yeah,
mean, I mean, we can moan about Portsmouth and Ipswich doing it to us, but we've got to do it to opposition as well. So we did. We didn't against Burton. That was frustrating. Comments were made after Tuesday night, the defeat to Ipswich, both goals coming from Burns. Where's Burns on the right hand side,
yeah.
looking at the space on the left side, the left flank, as it were. I look back to Boreham Wood when there was an error, and again, Nesta coming across from the left back position, trying to make a last ditch recovery, people claiming out of position. I'm going to defend Nesta on these ones. I'm not sure. I'm not sure we can put that much blame on him. To be honest, I think it's more to do because look at the goals. Boreham Wood, for example, right? That goal. There was a massive gap, but we were in possession. We gave possession away cheaply. So what Nesta's trying to do when we give possession away is actually pull wide, create space, try and get ahead. Right? It's
Yeah,
trying to make something happen. Tuesday night, Ipswich just switched the ball
yeah.
really quickly, and I'm not sure, but I'd have thought Nesta playing at left back, he would be coming across, wouldn't he, to keep space distance wise in relation to his centre halves. and that's
Yeah.
going to leave a gap out wide, is it not?
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I think. Do you know what? Again, I've said this before. If you're looking at our fullbacks and wingbacks, generally they're not the best defenders. They're actually better going forward than they are
Yeah,
defending, because that's the modern day. You know, if you go back to fullbacks, I'm trying to think now, like Kenny Sansom and Paul Parker, going back well now. But they were your standard fullbacks. They defended. They were great defenders, weren't they? Do you know what I mean? But now it's, and I think Nesta is something like that. I think he was a winger anyway when he was at Met Police, so he is still learning that role. But I think for the goal against Boreham Wood, yeah. Hey, look, he does get caught out. You know, there's too much gap between Ben Hennigan and him. But again, I also think I don't know why we changed the formation, because the three at the back it's a different role to defend, isn't
you're
it?
right. We did go straight at the back, didn't we, at Boreham Wood? Yeah,
Yeah. But then if
yeah.
you go the other side, when he played left centre half against Wickham, he was excellent. So I think Nesta sometimes gets the bad press, and I sort of get it. But I also think, do you know what? He will move on and go to a bigger club, because he's got all the right attributes, and he will get better defensively, just naturally through experience. The Tuesday night goal, we just got done on the press. We got done on the press.
Yeah.
Ipswich, we were trying to play it. Ipswich hounded us, and they got out on the left. They got out on our left side, so Nesta has to come over. That's just they done the press. The press wasn't effective enough. They got out, and then of course the goal was switched on to Burns, who, to be fair, I put him down as a player to watch. I think he's a really, really good footballer, and his stats show that. So I think there's a goal's got to be conceded somewhere. Someone's
Yeah.
got, it's got to come down thing. And I think we just overanalyzed the left hand side, if I'm being honest with you.
It was frustrating in the sense that they didn't actually create a great deal. You mentioned about us being more defensive and Robbo sorting that side out of it. I think our shape's been really, really good. And Ipswich, it was a strange one with Ipswich. I mean, you look at the squad, you've already mentioned it. Joe Piggott's on the bench and he's not got a cat and hell's chance of getting on the pitch at any point.
He's warming up. I don't know why he's warming up. I think he was just saying hello to a few of his mates on the side.
He must have done. Because, yeah, like, who was the strike? So Connor Chaplin comes on, Macaulay Bond comes on.
Yeah.
You've got, it's like, I mean, this is ludicrous that they're even in this division with that squad. Sonia Luco is coming off. James Norwood's coming off. It's
But
like,
that's what
come
tells
on.
you. I don't know about you, but when I saw the substitutes, that tells you how difficult the battle is. Because
Yeah,
it's no disrespect to the subs that we're coming on, but we've got kids who are getting experience in League One,
yeah,
and I don't know what it must be like for people like Ben Hennigan when he sees like he's just done well with the two. I think was it Norwood and one other, and then he's got them to come on. It's just yeah.
yeah. No rest for the wicked, as they say. That said, with Ipswich, was it a bit weird? I don't know if I was expecting too much of them. When these teams come down to Plough Lane, big teams, I kind of sit back and I think, okay, go on, impress me. Sheffield Wednesday come down, I'm like, go on, show me why you're going to be promoted or want to be promoted. Wigan, the same. I look at these clubs, I'm waiting for them to impress me. Ipswich, I don't know if I was expecting more from them. They really struggled to break us down, but I didn't think they were playing with any great tempo. But was it a case of they were just being as good as they needed to be?
Yeah, do you know what? I think the first half was really tight. I think Ben Hennigan won every header when they knocked it along. He was the most experienced player on the pitch, wasn't it? And it seemed that at times the ball was just like a magnet. He was clearing his lines every time. Ipswich had a little. You're right, but I think the way we set up, Ipswich, couldn't get behind us, and George Marsh and Lee McCormick were excellent in midfield. George Marsh was my man of the match by. I think he's just been excellent. But then I think it changed in the second half, and I think Robbo. My gut thing is Robbo sort of said, "Look, you're standing off an Amara in these," which is it's easy to do when you look at the names. We just said the names, haven't we? And then but it was way too open. I was like, this is open, and we had the chance. The save that the keeper makes with his feet when he's going. You sort of
direction.
you sort of feel that if we got that goal, then we had something to hold on. First goal was always difficult, always important to get. But we more than I think we have to be really pleased. We more than matched Ipswich, more than matched them. And you have to see sometimes how players celebrate goals or how teams celebrate goals to realise what that is. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I know what you're saying. Now I think the only player that I think Sheffield Wednesday, I was really impressed with Bannon. I think he's a
Bannon, yeah, easily the best player I've seen, and yeah,
yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of he saw things so quickly, and also the thing I was really surprised about Bannon was how good defensively, how good he was off without the ball. Because you
mm.
sometimes think players are just like luxury players, aren't they? But he's by far the best player in League One, from what I've seen. But
Yeah.
yeah, no one's. I'm hoping that stays the same next week. I don't want anyone else to come down and show us up. You're right. You expect more, don't you? But maybe that's down to how good we are tactically in nullifying what the
Yeah.
other teams are doing.
Um, you're right with celebrations. I was a little bit surprised they were quite vociferously celebrating, but it was their first shot on target when they actually broke the deadlock. But as you say, first goal is so important, and after that, I think we all knew that was that. There was no getting back into it once they got 1-0 up. And the second goal, I must admit, I am live. I thought he had a lot more space uh, than when I watched the goal back. I didn't realise how much more he still had to do, and he still faced up Nesta before getting his shot away. At the time, I just thought it was a quick pass across and he was in on goal and slotted it away. But oh, well,
Yeah,
anyway, it is it is what it is. Someone else I wanted to mention because I was very impressed with them on Tuesday was Ethan Chislett. Thought he played really really well coming in. George Marsh you've mentioned. It's kind of handy. Anthony Hartigan is back.
yeah.
Came off the bench on Tuesday, and I think whereas we might have said before that Woodyard and Hartigan is perhaps our first choice pairing in that position. You don't want Woodyard and Marsh perhaps too similar, but now Woodyard's out, Marsh and Hartigan seems like a nice balance in there. So get McCormick further forward, and I think we'll cause Shrewsbury and Cheltenham lots of problems.
I think I think George Marsh has been outstanding. I really do. Like Tuesday night, he just doesn't let anyone have a chance. Do you know what I mean? No one's he's everywhere, and I think he causes losing Woody. I think if we always were a bit worried, weren't we, with Alex Woodyard if we lost him because of he's our captain and he's just so influential, isn't he? But I think we've got a very good cover for Alex Woodyard at the moment. But the way he is, I think Robbo's going to have to try and find a way of getting them into the same midfield. So I can't see how you drop. Do you know what I mean? Woody comes back, and I don't see how you drop George Marsh on the levels of performance he's doing at the moment. So it causes us a nice problem, but we might have to change shape. But I think we're going to change shape anyway because of Ollie going.
Yeah.
Aya played up front with Cosgrave in the first half, and I think you will find Aya will probably get a 2 or maybe even a 3 role. Maybe I think we will change how we play.
All this said, my positivity and my optimism, all this said, as you mentioned there, maybe going 2 up top. But as long as we've been in the Football League since we got there in 2011, every single season we've said every single club at League Two level, at League One level, they have a lump up top. And are we going to miss that? Do we need to look at someone who can actually just back to goal, hold play up where it needs to be, and bring others into play?
I think you need it at some point. I think. Hey, look. The first half, I think we basically were feeling sorry for ourselves, and we just hadn't forgot. We forgot that Odded was at Wrexham scoring goals on his debut, but we did chuck some aimless balls in there, and we just can't do that. It's just, I think at one point I remember Cosgrove didn't even bother challenging for the ball because he just knew he weren't going to win it, and he was looking for the scraps off it, and I understood that. Yeah, I think you do. I don't think they're easy to come by. That's the problem. And I think it begs the question, and it's something that I'm interested in, is are we going to invest the money? Because I did use this example on the 9 Years TV on Tuesday night, but go back to Luton when they spent money on Gray, they spent 50 grand, didn't they, on him,
Yeah.
and then sold him for 500 grand. So sometimes
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
we haven't, I'm trying to think when's the last time we really went out and signed a player for money. Kedwell, 10 grand, or I can't think of any time we've actually gone and spent real, serious money. I can't off the top of my head, but if we have, we've not spent any more than. Put it this way, we haven't spent 50 grand, or we haven't even gone to 100 grand. But do we trust this model? Excuse me. Do we go to football committee model and go, because this is a test now of that model. It's the first big test we've got. Do we go, or we're actually going to go to somebody? We're so convinced on our model that we're going to spend 100 grand on a player, for argument's sake. But is that reckless when you're not flush with money. But I think we have to
Mm.
get to a stage where, from my point of view, you can't keep. We should be selling players each season in the summer and investing, but that does mean that you probably have to go into non-league and take some calculated gambles. So if we're going to get a target amount of Ollie Palmer's influence, we're going to have to spend money.
And just whilst I just muse about these things, Joe Pigott scored lots of goals for us, but mainly when paired alongside a James Hansen
Yeah,
or latterly an Ollie Palmer. So but, hey, that's by the by. Rumours that we might be bringing in a left back, Lee Brown.
yeah,
That's the rumour that's been floating around social media. Um, Seems to be that Portsmouth have brought a left back in from Sunderland,
yeah.
Denver Hume,
What a
which
name!
sounds like a solicitor's,
What a name! Where is he
um,
from? Don't tell me America.
Colorado. Yeah, I mean,
Probably find he's Scottish or something now, won't we?
probably Hume. I think was Hume. Hume was a. Do you know what Hume was? Either a villain in Harry Potter, potentially, or I think there were these books I used to read when I was a kid, football books about a little kid who played football called Napper, and he played for Warren County. I think one of the teams in that they used to play against was called Hume. Anyway, we're well off the point here. Lee
Oh,
Brown, I was be surprised because I think he was captain for Portsmouth when they played us at Plough Lane the other
yeah,
week.
it was. Yeah.
Um,
Didn't
so
he
I was
score
very
against us in the
surprised
game? In the game, but didn't he score for us from left back in the game? We
in
lost
the.
3-1 at home, didn't we? Behind closed doors.
Oh, possibly. I don't know. I don't know.
I
I
think he did.
don't ask me about lockdown football. I won't. But yeah. But I thought I'll be. I said I'll be surprised if that's true because. But then maybe if they're getting a left back in, could be potentially. We're recording this on Wednesday night. By the time you're listening to this, maybe he's signed for us. We don't know. But experience always a bonus at this moment in time.
Yeah, do you know what? If we are interested in him, I did hear the rumor, and I was straight away, yeah, if he's available and we've got a chance to get him, because not, I know we're full of fullbacks, aren't we? But actually, experience, another captain because we have lost Ollie, who could have been a captain. So
Mm.
you replace you have to. Rob always talks about training ground and behaviours and stuff like that. Losing Ollie is a big loss to the training ground in terms of the squad and training. So maybe Robbo feels that it needs that character, no matter where it is. And do you know what? He might be a secret forward. He might play up front. Might be like a Darius Charles.
Maybe, maybe we'll see. I'm just wondering if we can make his name scan into bad Lee
Right.
Brown, the
Oh,
baddest man in the whole damn town.
you see?
We
Have
can
you seen?
try it.
Have you seen Vinny seen that?
I've seen Vinny
Vinny.
Vinny
Do
Jones.
you remember when he was on? What was that? Like, oh, it wasn't X Factor or anything, but he did a celebrity thing, didn't he? And he sung that.
Oh, oh, okay.
I can't think where it was. It's like a Simon Cowell celebrity, rubbish thing that they do.
Karaoke thing or something.
Yeah.
I do vaguely recall this. This does for some reason that does ring a bell, but this probably because it's Vinny Jones. Anyway, we are running late.
Sounding great.
Shrewsbury up next, 17th in League One.
Yeah.
They are 3 points above us, but if we win by 2 goals, we go above them. So this feels like a 6 pointer.
Yeah.
Steve Cottrell in charge, and he'll be looking forward, I'm sure, to visiting Plough Lane, the new version. Their form's okay. They're winless in the last 3. They haven't scored in those 3, but they've won 2 of their last 6, which is pretty good. I think they beat Sheffield Wednesday in there as well. But the big statistic when we play Shrewsbury is we have not beaten them in our last 12 games. That is ridiculous. So combine winless in 12 against them, winless in 8 in all competitions currently. This is a nailed on victory. Nailed on, people. Mortgage your house, remortgage your house, sell your car, put everything you own on a home win.
Oh dear. Yeah. Do you know what? I didn't realise it was 12. When you started going through it, I was thinking, I can't remember. I think last time we beat them was when they got promoted, if I remember. I think we beat them at home at Kings Meadow when they got promoted. Swear we did.
Yes, we did.
I think
Last game of the season, yeah.
they'd won the
3-1.
league and they were clearly on holiday already, weren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, look, our record's not great. In a way, excuse me, it's great that Steve Cottrell's going to be back at Plough Lane, especially after obviously he's been, his illnesses over the last 18 months. So it's really good that he's, recovered and stuff like that. So, but he's a good manager. I don't know, to be honest with you, you're right. We should really, these records are there to break, aren't they? I suppose if I'm being a real sort of like relegation cautious, is it's a game we shouldn't lose. We can't lose. But equally, we got, if we should be looking at 6 points. These two games, 6 points, that's massive, isn't it, for us? So we've got to set it up by getting 3 points on Saturday.
Yeah, and then we really need to be at the races when we play Cheltenham next Tuesday. But looking around League One, I mean, the big result last weekend was clearly Morecambe beating Wickham 3-2, and that just closed the gap to us, and we've now only got the one game in hand. But you look forward to this Saturday. Teams down the bottom, Morecambe travel to Accrington Stanley, Cheltenham host Wigan, Crewe host Rotherham, Doncaster have got Plymouth, Gillingham have got Oxford. These are tough games. A win for us would be absolutely huge because you're expecting teams around us to all be dropping points.
Yeah, yeah. You just got to look after yourself, haven't you? We had games in hand. And
I struggle to do that.
But it is one of, you can get caught up sometimes, especially when you've got games in hand. You get caught up in the fact of going, well, we've got 3 games in hand. All of a sudden they start going and you don't pick up points. So yeah, I think we just got to really make sure we try and we've got to come out. We've got to start with a really good tempo. We've got to really come out the first half against Shrewsbury and how we come out the second half against Ipswich, because I don't know about you, but I thought the atmosphere was really good on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I thought it was bouncing. I thought the fans kept behind the players, and I think the players drew off that. So I think it's really important. We do that. But yeah, I can't even remember what week it is, to be honest. We've got so many games coming up, haven't we? The old adage, take one game at a time, is really true, because I can't remember what the other games are.
Well, you're right. We'll concentrate on Shrewsbury first. Before then, we host Cheltenham, and then I think we go to Charlton.
Oh, we do, yeah.
Before we host Rotherham, and then we host Sunderland.
Ouch! That is
so. This is quite an important week coming up. But yes, score prediction.
I'm going for a 1-0 win.
You would think, as I say, they've not scored in 3. We've scored 1 goal this calendar year with a player. Our joint top scorer, the only player contracted to AFC Wimbledon to have scored a goal in 2022, plays for Colchester.
Oh, crikey.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The thing is, we've got all our players out on loan. Some of them are scoring goals, but you're right. Corey Andrews at Colchester,
Yeah.
which is, it's a good loan for him, isn't it? I know we're going to go. I know we're running a little bit late, but I was really surprised that we didn't bring Corey back along with Aaron Cosgrove.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind where Cosgrove was at Dover and Aaron, he was at Aldershot. But it's a good, a League Two loan is really good. But yeah, let's not hope he scores too many goals, because we ain't scoring none ourselves.
Yeah, we need to start scoring ourselves. Do you know who didn't have a problem scoring goals back in the day?
No, go for it.
Neil Shipperley. And this week in 2002, he scored 3 goals. 1 away at Warsaw, big European tie. We lost. At the Bescott Stadium, there we go. Trying to remember the name of it. That was a woeful result at the time. So Warsaw, he would go on to get relegated. We didn't beat that season. We lost at their place. We only drew with them at home that season. Conversely, a few days later, we hosted Manchester City, who would win the division at an absolute canter that season. Having beaten them 4-0 at Main Road earlier in the season, we beat them again, 2-1. They could have had that Ali Benarbia or whatever his name was that they were raving about at the time.
Yeah,
But 2 goals from Neil Shipley live on ITV Digital. Nobody watching. Yeah, beat them 2-1. What a great result that was. Attendance at Selhurst Park that day, have a guess. Playing Manchester City.
it would have been over 10,000. I reckon you've done well to get 7 or 8
It
thousand.
just broke 10. It was 10, just
Yeah,
over 10,000, yeah.
it
So,
would have been.
no.
Do you know what? It's really weird, Man City, isn't it? If you told like kids now in a 10, 11, 12, and that we beat Man City at home and stuff, but going to Main Road, did you ever go to? You went to Main Road, didn't you?
I went there once, and that
Yeah.
was the 4-0. Yeah.
I just remember as an away game, it was an away game that shocked me because as you got into Moss Side, everything was caged up. Like it was
Mm.
just like, wow, how do people live like this? But if you fast forward 20 years and they've now got a state of the art ground,
Yeah.
training ground, and it's difficult, isn't it? So when you say you have to beat Man City, yeah, I remember when Man City weren't a big team. It's mad. But talk about target man. Shipley would be great as a target man at the moment, wouldn't he? Sorry.
We've not even. And do you know what? On a totally unrelated note, and I'm not saying anything when I say this, we've not even spoken about the rugby starting to happen on Plough Lane and the state and the effect on the pitch yet. But maybe we'll save that one for next week.
Yeah,
Because if it's
obviously.
going to be bad with the rugby players, imagine Shipley jumping up and down it.
Do you know-
Anyway,
yeah, I was just say very quickly. Do you know what? With everything that's going on at the club and obviously selling on Palmer, that's just something else for people to go. Well, it's all going wrong. We're doing this and we're doing that. And now we've got the rugby lines, and it just feels like
yeah,
an accumulation of things to moan about, doesn't it?
rugby lines meant something else when I was at uni. The talking about things to moan about, advertising hoardings. Fuck's sake, they make
I,
it
I
when you
saw
sat
you
in the
moaning
West
about
Stand.
this.
When the ball's over that side on the floor, I've got no idea what's going on, and no one around me does. We're just like, okay, whatever. Like you hear some people on the East Stand up in arms about something. We're like, what? We didn't see it. We were following the ball down the touchline, and it wasn't the ball. It was one of the advertising hoardings that was moving. The animations going down with like a van driving across.
You
Like, what
don't
the
deal well
fuck
with
is going on?
technology, do you?
Oh my god, no! Scrap it, ban it,
But
everything.
what you saying the
Anyway,
other day about the advertising boardings at some of the Premier League grounds now are double
yeah,
in
they're
height,
massive.
aren't they?
It's ridiculous. Oh, I just Stu, honestly, and we're so late, so I'm not going to get into it. But
No,
I
no.
watched 15 minutes of Southampton versus Manchester City,
Yeah,
and I cannot do it anymore. It's just I don't know whatever was in front of me was not anything I correlate with anything I want to watch. But anyway, elsewhere in the world, totally unrelated. This week, 20 years ago, Stu, a song that you'd have liked was number one signal. It was signal was number one single, which was Enrique Iglesias with
oh,
Hero.
oh crikey,
And
no,
he could be maybe he could be our hero, and he could play up front, or at least bring Anna Kournikova. I think he was married to her, or he had a relationship with her. Maybe she was in the video.
to
Can't
be fair,
remember.
no, it wasn't a video. To be fair, I think he had a relationship with most people, or ladies.
All right. Yes, moving on.
Oh, I just
Vanilla
dug a hole there.
Sky. Yeah, just a bit. Tom Cruise was a number one box office hit at the time with Vanilla Sky, which is a film that I've heard, as we all have done, very famous film, but I've never actually seen it. So I should probably do that at some point. No, but it sounds a bit boring, a bit bland. Vanilla Sky. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not even
Vanilla,
going to rise to that one.
yeah. No, anyway. 9 Years TV returns on Saturday. So, Stu, you've now been broadcasting live on the club's official YouTube channel
Yeah,
for an hour warm up and then half an hour after the final whistle. Been very well received. That's going to continue on. And yeah, it's all looking very good.
definitely. Yeah, and you're joining us on Saturday.
Yeah,
So,
you've said I have to wear club merchandise, but I'm going to wear my Stone Cold Steve Austin t-shirt. I promise you I'm going to wear my Stone Cold Steve Austin t-shirt. I don't care.
do you know what? It's going to be weird because we've done all the midweek games, so it's always been dark, which has been a nightmare with the floodlights and stuff like that. So
Of
yeah,
course, yeah.
having a day game, but yeah, it just feels like we're not away from the place, doesn't it? Which hey, look, it's not too bad. We've got home games, but yeah, it's going well. It's been well received, and yeah, it's enjoyable. It's live. It's hectic, but as you know, it's enjoyable, and we're enjoying doing it.
Just one question. So you've asked me to do the sort of silly either or questions when George goes down to the training ground to interview some
Yeah,
players, which I've been
yeah,
doing.
it's been
But
great.
can we? I'm just sorry, George. When you asked Nick Zanev, right? The question for Nick Zanev was because his name's Nick Zanev. Choose between Nick Knowles or Nick Nolte. All right. I think I did this for George Marsh. It was Curious George or George
Yeah,
from Rainbow. You see how this
brilliant.
works? George, not George from Rainbow or Curious George, George Jones, he asks Nick Zanev, Nick Knowles or Nick Knowles. Nick Zanev goes, sorry, what? And George repeats the same question, Nick Knowles or Nick Knowles. And God love Nick Zanev for responding,
Uh,
Nick Knowles? Like, George is sacked.
do you know what? The club have been really good actually because we've obviously got an exclusive interview for it, and I don't know if you saw the George Marsh one.
Yes.
Hilarious. Literally, they were kicking footballs at. You could tell George Marsh was like, I don't know what's over my shoulder. And then if you look back, Shane Alexander just miraculously just appears behind George like a stalker. It's just the funniest thing ever. We had Rob Tooby come up to the studio to do his video, the team news. He asked to have a look at it, and Rob Tooby was in hysterics, absolute hysterics. Yeah, we're trying to make him a bit, obviously a bit different, a bit more fun, and yeah, obviously we've asked you to do the nine questions, even though George got the teabag question wrong.
Well, actually, we'll move on quickly, Stu, because that might have been a scripting error. So
No, which is very
let's,
good.
yeah, just blame George. Right, we are well over time, so
Yep,
we're going to wrap it up there. Stu, thank you very much for joining me.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll be back next Friday, of course. 9 Years TV broadcasting live Shrewsbury on Saturday and Cheltenham on Tuesday night. But for now, I'll say Alexa Bliss, bag first, milk last, 2 + 2 = 4. And yes, indeed, we will speak to you again next Friday.